Arsenal are pushing to sign Atletico Madrid striker Álvarez, with talks understood to be at a beginning stage.
There was a lot of drama off the pitch as it relates to La Raña, Julián Álvarez. Now, you know that he has been linked with away from Atlético de Madrid, and he spoke to our ESPN Argentina reporters and had this to say as all the headlines were saying that in Spain. He said, "I don't think it's the right moment to talk, but I also don't want to hide. I tried to be an honest person. I spoke with the people at Atlético who I needed to speak with. I think the best thing for everyone is a transfer. I want to fulfill my dream." Now, he's been heavily linked, and this is what Atlético de Madrid had to say about the whole situation. "There is no amount of money for which Barça can buy Julián. He will not be transferred to Barcelona. Either they pay the release clause of 500 million euros or there is no deal." Well, you know I love to be very petty, but nobody does petty quite like Atlético de Madrid's admin. Now, this is what they put up yesterday after Argentina got their win. Great win for our Argentinians. And if you have a look, there is one missing. And that, of course, is Julián Álvarez. So this is also scenes from what's going on in Spain, because Atleti fans and the hinchas everywhere have already started burning his jersey. Someone who definitely became somewhat of a bit of a cult hero at Atlético de Madrid, now turning into what looks like their number one enemy. All right, Jules. How does this end? Because it's getting pretty toxic, especially when the player has publicly said on the world's biggest stage that he has asked for a transfer.
Yeah, I mean, we knew that he asked for the transfer. We knew that there were talks between him and his agent and Atletico a few weeks ago. The problem, I think, if a player really of his caliber really wants to leave, although he's got 4 years left on his contract, let's not forget. I think if you're Atletico, you just think, okay, he doesn't want to be here. There's no point keeping him here against his will. We can find a club, get a lot of money, reinvest that money. Okay, no problem. The issue here is the Barcelona issue. Is because his dream is to go to Barcelona. That Atletico would never sell him to Barcelona unless that release clause, as they mentioned in their post, is triggered. There's no way Barcelona can pay. I mean, they can't even pay 150 million anywhere for Julián Álvarez, let alone 500 million. Nobody will ever pay that release clause regardless. However, I think if a foreign club like a PSG or like an Arsenal find a way of making an attractive proposition to Atleti and that Julián is happy to go there, then I think that could happen, although it would be a long saga through the summer. But the Julián to Barcelona is impossible right now. One, because Barca don't have enough money, and two, because Atletico, if they don't want to sell him to them, unless they trigger the release clause, it won't happen.
Frank, what do you make of the whole situation?
I would say goodbye, Julián, because I think there is no way they can keep him. If he wants to go, and we hear that every year. We had Isaac last season, now we have Álvarez, but we had, I think, Griezmann like some years ago for the same kind of transfer from Atletico to Barcelona. If a player wants to go, you have to find a way to let him go and to find the right amount of time, money, to allow him to sign for another club, because he doesn't want to play for you anymore. It's sad because he has a contract, but it is what it is, and we are in a world of human being, and if a human being doesn't want to play anymore for your club, you better sell him, because he's not going to give you the 100% that you're expecting. And Julián Álvarez has been absolutely fantastic for Atletico, but that's the end of the story for me.
Arsenal's £120 million no. 9 gamble. Could Julián Álvarez become Arteta's next great forward? Arsenal transfer talk is heating up around Julián Álvarez, with reports claiming the Argentine could be available for a staggering £120 million this July. With Barcelona allegedly unable to meet Atletico Madrid's valuation, this article breaks down whether Arsenal can realistically push a deal through, how Álvarez would fit Mikel Arteta's system, what contract demands could mean for negotiations, and how a signing of this scale would reshape the res. T of Arsenal's summer transfer plans. In what feels like a never-ending cycle of anticipation, Arsenal supporters are once again staring at a transfer storyline that could redefine their summer, perhaps even their attack for the next few years. This time, the spotlight is on Julián Álvarez, the Argentine forward whose pace, work rate, and ruthless finishing have made him one of football's most convincing modern number 9 profiles. And the claim attached to his name is enormous. Arsenal may agree a £120 million deal this July. As sensational as that sounds, the logic behind why Arsenal would even consider such a move is understandable. Arsenal's squad is close to elite, but title-level sides often find themselves needing one more ingredient, someone who makes specific sequences more reliable, who turns pressure into goals, and who helps the team press from the front without sacrificing threat in the box. Alvarez is exactly the kind of striker clubs pursue when they want more than a traditional role, they want tactical advantage. Still, rumors are rumors. The real question is whether this particular rumor, linking Arsenal, Arteta, Atletico Madrid's valuation, and Barcelona allegedly struggling to meet it, can survive contact with reality. Let's analyze the main pieces. Why Alvarez fits the Arsenal problem, not just the Arsenal position. The phrase, Arsenal's number 9, can mean many things. Sometimes it's about replacing a specific player. Other times it's about changing the way the team attacks. Under Mikel Arteta, Arsenal have built a system that thrives on quick combinations in the final third, intelligent movement into half-space pockets, high-tempo pressing, and converting good spells into actual scoreboard outcomes. What Arsenal have sometimes lacked, especially in matches where opponents defend deeply or neutralize their main creators, is a striker who can do everything at once. Arrive in scoring positions naturally, not only through scripted patterns. Make the first touch that speeds up attacks. Press effectively without dragging the team out of shape. And keep attacking even when the build-up stalls. Alvarez's style aligns tightly with that everything requirement. He doesn't just wait for service. He hunts for the next action, triggers pressure in the right moments, and thrives in the chaotic in-between spaces where Arsenal often want the ball to go. If Arsenal are targeting a number 9 for Arteta, they're not just buying goals, they're buying a system accelerant. The £120 million claim, is it realistic? A £120 million fee immediately sounds like an internet number, something designed to grab attention rather than reflect what clubs would truly pay. But in today's market, two realities can make big numbers plausible. Elite strikers are a scarce category. Even when you have talent available, you don't always have ready-made fit. Clubs pay premiums for players who reduce tactical uncertainty, can start immediately, and are unlikely to be project signings. Alvarez's reputation suggests he is not a project. Negotiations often start with inflated anchors. If Atletico Madrid's valuation is massive, as the rumor suggests, Arsenal could be facing an open-in G price designed to deter others. In that case, the £120 million figure may represent the ceiling of the negotiation, an asking price that shifts via add-ons, performance bonuses, and structure. So the more accurate framing is this: £120 million may be the headline figure, not necessarily the final cost. Arsenal have shown they can negotiate smartly when they believe in a target, but they also won't want to cripple their financial flexibility, especially if they still need to strengthen other areas. Barcelona versus Atletico's valuation, the pressure point. The storyline circulating here is clear. Barcelona are struggling to meet Atletico Madrid's massive valuation, which opens the door for Arsenal to step in. This matters because transfer competition is as much about leverage as it is about ambition. If Barcelona genuinely want Alvarez but can't match the price, then Atletico suddenly gains options. Either hold out for Barcelona to raise their offer, or accept that the market leader for the deal has shifted to Arsenal. In negotiations, sellers often prefer buyers who are willing to meet demands quickly. Arsenal's willingness to move decisively, if the reports are accurate, would be a major advantage. However, Arsenal would still need to ensure they can satisfy Alvarez personally. A club can meet a fee and still lose a deal if the contract package isn't aligned. Contract demands, the hidden gatekeeper in any mega deal. When rumors mention contract demands, it usually refers to a player negotiating salary level, contract length, bonuses, and sometimes clauses that protect them if the club's sporting direction changes. For a deal of this size, these demands can determine whether Arsenal close or walk away. What Arsenal must get right. Even if Arsenal agree with Atletico on the fee, they must build a contract package that makes Alvarez want the move, places him clearly as a long-term centerpiece, fits within Arsenal's wage structure, and does not create future squad imbalance. Why demand negotiations can stall deals? Arsenal and top players aren't negotiating from the same position of certainty. The players' camp knows his value to the project, while the club knows it can always find alternatives, unless the market is tight. If Alvarez's demands are too far from what Arsenal consider sustainable, the fee agreement can collapse in the final stretch. So the latest updates on contract demands are crucial, not just for fans, but for the mechanics of whether the July timeline is achievable. How Alvarez would fit into Arteta's system. This is the part that makes the rumor genuinely interesting, because Arsenal don't just sign players, they sign roles. Arteta's attacking structure often emphasizes coordinated movement and pressing triggers. Alvarez's profile is well suited because he can contribute in multiple ways. Pressing as a striker, not just a finisher. A modern number 9 must initiate pressure and cover central channels. Alvarez is known for his intensity and forward-running mindset, which can complement Arsenal's high-level coordination. If he presses effectively, Arsenal can win the ball higher, sustain attacking pressure, and reduce the time opponents get to reset. Intelligent movement in the final third. Arsenal's best chances often come when the ball is at high tempo and players arrive at different angles. A striker who attacks space and times runs could increase the conversion of Arsenal's existing chance creation. Combination threat and link play. Arteta's system relies on sequences, short passes, quick switches, and layoffs into scoring areas. Alvarez's game supports combinations more than people assume. He's capable of being the target while also being mobile enough to support second-wave attacks. A more lethal plan B. When games become tight, title contenders win by having more than one attacking pathway. Alvarez could provide a different kind of forward pressure, one that can break stalemates not only through finishing, but through constant attacking decision-making. What would this mean for Arsenal's summer window? Signing Alvarez on a headline-level fee would inevitably impact the rest of Arsenal's transfer plans. Here's how. Budget reallocation. A marquee striker signing typically consumes a huge portion of the summer budget, sometimes leaving less room for multiple big additions elsewhere. Arsenal would likely adjust priorities based on what they believe Alvarez solves immediately. Reduced need for a similar striker profile. If Arsenal believe Alvarez is the correct forward archetype, they might step back from alternative no. 9 targets who are redundant in role. Greater focus on supporting positions. If the forward line becomes more complete, Arsenal's remaining needs could shift toward defensive depth for rotation, midfield balance, or wide creative options depending on how Arteta plans to rotate. Squad hierarchy clarity. A signing like this also changes the internal pecking order. That can be positive, if it boosts competition, and negative, if it disrupts morale. Arsenal would need to manage the transition carefully. Could Arsenal actually pull off a £120 million Alvarez deal this July? The short answer is, it could happen, but only if multiple conditions align. A deal becomes plausible if Barcelona can't meet Atletico's valuation, and Atletico want a new buyer. Arsenal are willing to negotiate the fee structure, not necessarily pay the exact headline figure in full upfront. Alvarez's contract demands fit Arsenal's wage and long-term planning, and the timing allows for proper registration and squad integration. What makes this rumor stand out is not just the scale of the name or the money, it's the tactical match. If Alvarez truly fits what Arteta wants from a no. 9. Arsenal aren't merely chasing a star, they're trying to secure a forward who can elevate their pressing, their attacking reliability, and their ability to win high-level matches. Now the question for Arsenal isn't, would it be exciting? It's, can Arsenal negotiate it properly, in time, and without damaging the rest of the squad build? If the answers trend positive, then this July could become one of Arsenal's most defining transfer windows in recent history.